This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Right now at 6 on Good Morning Indiana. Thousands of Hoosier children once again will not be returning to the classroom. This morning, how the vacant classrooms are leading to another health concern.
We don't have testing on demand, and we need that.
Only on RTV6, the state's former top health commissioner on the fight against COVID-19 and how this pandemic relates to another health crisis 30 years ago involving Ryan White.
Firefighters in Johnson County are holed up inside a fire station this morning.
This is nothing for the community to be alarmed about. In fact, I would say the exact opposite.
We're live with what led to the situation and why the chief says the community doesn't need to worry. Good morning, I'm Meredith Barrick. You might notice things look a little different this morning. Lauren and Raphael are working remotely. This is part of our effort to introduce social distancing into our daily routines as we work together to get through the coronavirus outbreak. But one thing remains unchanged, our commitment to bring you the information you need and expect from RTV6. And that includes our Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Todd Clausen is standing by with that. Todd, what can we expect as we kick off this week?
You know, it's very quiet here this morning. That's the good news. If you do have to head to work here across central Indiana, you're not going to encounter any weather-related problems. Temperatures this morning range anywhere from 33 to 40 degrees, but just increasing clouds taking place this morning. We started off last night with clear skies, and now we're turning mostly cloudy, but you do need to have that jacket, obviously. Storm Team 6 radar is quiet for now. We are expecting some rain to head in our direction later on this afternoon. Here are those clouds that continue to increase, and you see even where there were a few breaks, that's starting to fill in. So it's not out of the question. A few of you could have a little bit of sunshine here as we start off our day. It'll kind of be that filtered sunshine though, and eventually those skies will be overcast throughout the day. And here's the rain that we'll be tracking. It'll be kind of losing its punch as it makes its way into central Indiana, but a few spotty showers will be possible, I would say after 4 o'clock this afternoon. But as you walk out the door, we're talking about increasing clouds. Temperatures will go from about 36 degrees at the 8 o'clock hour to eventually high temperatures today that'll be topping off right around 43 degrees. As far as whether you need the umbrella later on this afternoon, kind of up to you. If you do see one of these showers, it would be very, very light. The time now is 6:02. Let's get you updated on the roadways here with Meredith.
Todd, thank you. We're taking a live look at I-69 at 96th Street. As you can see, only a few cars and trucks out there. Here just after 6 a.m. we do expect traffic to be awfully light here as we start our week, and it will likely be like this for quite some time. So thankfully no issues on the roadways. Before we get to the latest on the coronavirus outbreak, some breaking news just north of downtown Indianapolis. That's where Metro Police say a man is dead after a shooting near 16th Street and North College Avenue. This is a live look from the scene. You can see it all taped off there. Officers found a man with a gunshot wound just before 4 o'clock this morning. Police say that man later died at the hospital. Investigators have not released any information about a possible suspect. And more breaking news just into the RTV6 newsroom. Indycar officials have released a statement about the month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the coronavirus concerns. The statement reads in part, "We are aware of the CDC's interim guidance suggesting the postponement of events involving more than 50 people over the next 8 weeks. Our priority is to do our part in protecting the public health while still conducting the 104th Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge as scheduled on May 24th. Indycar goes on to say they are coordinating with officials at the federal and local levels. We will continue to follow that very closely. Now, over the weekend, there have been 4 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Indiana, bringing the total number in the Hoosier state to 19. The new tally includes the first confirmed case in Hamilton County. The Indiana State Department of Health says 121 people have been tested for the coronavirus. This morning, there are no reported deaths in Indiana from the virus. And this morning, the latest numbers from Johns Hopkins University shows more than 3,200 cases of COVID-19 across the country. At least 66 people have died. We expect new numbers out later today. The CDC says Americans should cancel or postpone all gatherings of 50 people or more for the next 8 weeks. That's as experts say social distancing is imperative to curbing the spread of coronavirus. The CDC says the new guidance applies to conferences, festivals, parades, concerts, sporting events, weddings, and any other gatherings. According to the CDC, travelers at such gatherings could bring coronavirus into new communities. Vice President Mike Pence says federal leaders will release new broad-based guidelines later today. This morning marks the first full week of no classes, that is, for hundreds of thousands of families across the state. The mass closures aims to prevent the spread of COVID-19. But now they're creating a different health concern: how to feed the thousands of families who rely on school districts for meals. Indianapolis Public Schools and many other corporations are still providing food during the closures, but they're having to get creative since the goal of the shutdowns is to avoid large crowds of kids. That's why the IPS food service team is passing out free prepackaged meals in the parking lot at 7 schools and 2 apartment complexes. The operations manager shared this message for families.
Hopefully this pandemic will be over soon, and so hopefully we're able to get through it with all of these meals, and to check the community for different resources that might also be available, different food pantries to aid in this time of need.
On Friday, IPS distributed boxed breakfast and lunches to more than 600 kids. You can find a list of school district meal distribution sites and times by heading to our website, theindychannel.com, and clicking on this story. Thousands of people depend on Indigo for their daily transportation. Now this morning, a number of jobs are accessible from home, but you may still be heading to the bus stop this morning to head to work. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at the live desk this morning with what Indigo is doing to keep their riders safe. Alyssa.
Good morning, Meredith. Since Indigo is regularly in contact with the public, they tell me they have some best practices incorporated in their day-to-day procedures to keep both drivers and passengers safe. But given the concern of spreading COVID-19, they have made some changes. As a precaution, they've increased the frequency of cleaning and sterilization of both buses and facilities. Indigo has also added extra staff so that these sanitization efforts can be done without impacting bus schedules. Each bus is undergoing intense sanitation, as well as the Carson Transit Center. Indigo representatives say they have been closely monitoring the status of the virus, and the staff and executive leadership are having regular meetings about the topic and how to keep their riders and workers safe during this time. They do ask that passengers take their own precautions as well before and after riding the buses, or visiting any Indigo facilities, like washing your hands or using hand sanitizers and covering your nose and mouth when coughing. Like many agencies, Indigo is closely monitoring coronavirus and its impact on the people of Indianapolis, and they'll update the public if there are any changes to their services.
Alyssa, thank you. Casinos and gaming operations in the Hoosier State are now closed. State licensed gaming centers closed at the top of the hour. The decision comes as state and federal leaders try to stop the spread of the virus. The closure will last for at least 14 days. The move impacts Indiana Grand Casino in Shelbyville, Hoosier Park in Anderson, and the Winter Circle Sportsbook and Pub downtown. Take a look at this new video from the city's north side. On Friday, Roche Diagnostics got emergency approval from the FDA for a new COVID-19 test. This is new video showing the first of the Roche tests being rushed to the Indianapolis International Airport with a police escort. Roche says the tests are different from current tests because you can get results within 3 hours. Today, the concern is over the coronavirus pandemic, but 30 years ago, there was uncertainty about AIDS and HIV, and the Hoosier teen Ryan White, who brought national attention to the health issue. Only on RTV6, the state's former health commissioner sits down with our Rafael Sanchez on the lessons learned from Ryan in calming fears and promoting facts.
Based on what you did with the AIDS crisis and the Ryan White situation, how do we maneuver in this pandemic age?
Well, it's very important when talking to the public to talk about what you do know and why you know it, and then what you don't know and why you don't yet know it, and what you're doing to bring your information levels higher. The public needs to have confidence that its officials know what they're talking about. And the first time a public official tells a mistruth or gets something wrong, that decreases the public's willingness to believe. And that's one of the biggest problems we've got today, Raphael, and that's that we don't have testing on demand. And we need that. And that means that all Indiana laboratories have to get geared up in order to do the test, and those results have to come back quickly. That's the biggest gap that we have right now. And then you could calm the fears of those in your household who are not reacting well to this change in society. The folks that had tickets to the game, that wanted to go, that are now upset because of that. They need to understand that the decisions weren't made lightly. The decisions were made with an abundance of caution. The statistical likelihood of the virus actually being passed from the person sitting on your left to the person sitting on your right is low, but it's not zero. And given the times that we are in, given the rapidity of spread, given the fact that we're already up to about a dozen cases in Indiana that we know about and many, many more that we don't yet know about, these are the things that are likely to reduce the rate of spread and therefore increase our ability to prevent new infection.
So how do we deal with the issue of people who are irrational? Because sometimes it appears that the irrational beats out the facts, that facts get knocked out by opinion. So how did you do it? Because that's where we're at now, don't you think? Where people are, they think they know, but we don't know.
We don't know 100%, but we do know a lot. And the way we did it back in the 80s is the same way I recommend we do it today. Science trumps misinformation. We have to rely on the science.
Myers hopes Indiana will receive more COVID-19 test kits. The Democrat is running for governor. 10 EMTs in Johnson County are in quarantine this morning as a safety precaution. The fire chief tells RTV6 the EMTs were in contact with a patient that may have had COVID-19. Our Kelsey Anderson is live in Greenwood with what's being done to protect the firefighters, their families, and the community. Kelsey.
Hey, good morning, Meredith. So Fire Chief Jeremy Pell with the White River Township Fire Department says he does not want firefighters, their families, or the community to be worried. He says having these 10 EMTs on quarantine right now is just a precaution. Now, it comes after a call on Saturday for a patient with respiratory problems who ultimately stopped breathing and did not survive. Tests are now being run to determine if that patient had the coronavirus. The fire department is taking recommendations from the CDC, which means 8 EMTs are in quarantine at the old fire station on Mulnix Road, and 2 are in quarantine at home, something Chief Pell says they're doing simply out of precaution.
It was merely the lack of information that caused us to say, let's do this. So then there's no question. And that's where I think the community can take some comfort. The department staff, we're still taking calls, and we've done exactly what we should to make sure that until we find out for sure that we keep these crews from interacting with anyone else.
Now, the crews who are quarantined at this fire department here, this is no longer a working fire department, more of a storage fire department. So the 10 EMTs are off work for 48 hours. The fire chief hopes to get the test results back before then. If they do have to be quarantined for 14 days, this will impact the department. But Chief Pell says they are prepared to get their spots filled and still be able to protect the community. Now, we also want to remind you this morning that if you are in an emergency situation and you think you could have the coronavirus, it's important that when you call 911, you tell that dispatcher that you think you could have the virus. That way, those first responders can take extra precautions to protect themselves and to protect you. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. There are new developments every day with the coronavirus. We have developed a special section on our website to make the latest information easy to find. Just visit theindychannel.com/coronavirus. Plus, we know there is a lot of misinformation out there surrounding the virus. Our national team has put together a 30-minute special separating fact from fiction. You can find it on the RTV6 app or your favorite streaming device. Our neighbors to the east and west are putting restrictions on people going out to eat. Coming up at 6:17, we're looking at similar measures being considered right here in the Hoosier State. Todd.
And as you walk out the door this morning, conditions are dry here across central Indiana. As the day goes on, though, rain chances will ramp up just a little bit. We're only talking about a 20 to 30% chance of some showers later on this afternoon. We'll detail those and look ahead to the rest of your work week, which does feature a nice warm-up. It's all in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 6:14. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.
1,500 crew cab pickups. Of all the thunderstorms that we have, it's estimated that just 10% produce severe weather, being damaging wind or large hail. And of those storms that produce severe weather, only 2% produce tornadoes. The monster truck of severe weather is the Supercell Thunderstorm. Supercell thunderstorms are the least common, but they're the most likely to produce severe storms. They form when we get a change in wind direction from the ground level up in the atmosphere. It creates what we call a rotating storm or a mesocyclone. That gets a rotating updraft separated from the cool downdraft and puts this storm in a kind of a steady state where it can go on for hours. Whenever we identify a supercell storm, it gets our special attention.
Kevin, thank you. Restaurants and bars in a number of states are closing their dining rooms. Our neighbors in Illinois and Ohio among them. In Illinois, restaurants will shift to go only starting tonight. The changes there will last for at least 2 weeks. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says the drastic measures were necessary.
This is another hard step, but we must do everything that we can to safeguard the health and safety of the citizens of the state of Illinois. And that requires urgent action.
We reached out to Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb's office to see if there were similar plans underway in the Hoosier state. In a statement, his office says the outbreak continues to evolve and Governor Holcomb continues to evaluate the situation. We will send out notice of any decisions that are made. Here at 6:18, we want to check in with meteorologist Todd Clausen for a look at our Monday forecast. Hey, Todd.
Hey, good morning, Meredith. It's pretty quiet this morning as you get going on this new work week across central Indiana. Storm Team 6 radar is nice and quiet, but I started with this because we are expecting some rain later on this afternoon. When you went to bed last night, we were dealing with mainly clear skies, and you can see already the clouds have increased across the area, and the few breaks that we did have here and there are filling in now with clouds. So going forward throughout the day, we're probably not going to see a whole lot in the way of sunshine. These clouds may thin at times throughout the day today for the skies to brighten just a little bit, but we're never going to get rid of the clouds. So overall, it's a mostly cloudy day. And as far as the rain goes, that's still well off to our west. This is not a big, well-organized storm, and a lot of this heavier rainfall is going to bypass us to the south. We don't have to worry about that, but we will have some scattered showers that'll be making their way into the area later on this afternoon and to this evening, and then continuing into the overnight period. So that's a long duration of a rain threat in our forecast, but everything, as I'll show you here in just a second, is going to be very light and scattered. 1:30 in the afternoon, some of those showers starting to make their way into western portions of the state. Watch what happens as I advance this graphic, and the rain is essentially going to kind of fade away as it makes its way into Indiana. So there'll be some hit or miss showers here or there. If you do see any of them, they are going to be very, very light. They are not going to linger very long in your neighborhood. So if you do want to get out for a walk this evening or maybe a jog, just know that there will be the chance of some spotty showers, but they'll be very light and they're not going to linger very long into our forecast. And again, there could be a few hit or miss ones lingering into tomorrow morning's commute. We're talking just a couple hundredths of an inch of rainfall for today. Now, temperatures this morning have dipped down to 32 in Peru, 38 in Indy. It's 40 in Bloomington throughout the day today. You'll see our temperatures get back up into the mid-40s for your afternoon highs, with those spotty showers starting to build in. And then this evening, temperatures will be in the 40s as well, with skies that'll be mostly cloudy across the area and those spotty showers. Tomorrow, we make the jump up into the 50s with skies that'll be partly to mostly cloudy. Your St. Patrick's Day tomorrow is going to be a dry day, but look at where the real warmth builds in. Our average high this time of year is 52. By the time we get to Thursday and Friday, we're talking about high temperatures in the 60s to maybe even 70 degrees across the area. But with the warmer temperatures will come some rain showers. Then the cold front comes through on Friday with potentially maybe a round of thunderstorms in the forecast, and that's going to set us up for a cooler but drier weekend with high temperatures, Meredith, that will be in the 40s.
Todd, thank you. We're taking a live look right now at I-70 at Emerson Avenue. You can see only a few cars out there as we approach the 6:30 hour. We do anticipate traffic will be awfully light for your morning commute. Staying safe from the coronavirus is having an impact on everyone's daily life. And for some people, that means they can't go to the grocery store. New at 6:24, how one college student is making it her mission to make sure the elderly get what they need.
Flooring, floors to your home. That too.
Welcome back. The time now is 6:24, and we're taking a live look at I-465 east of State Road 37. You can see there's a bit more traffic in this area of the city as the morning rush hour gets underway. We don't anticipate, though, there to be many more cars out there as the morning continues due to so many people working from home today and schools being closed. We want to get right to what is trending at 6. A powerful moment here. Pope Francis leaving the Vatican on Sunday to walk the empty streets of Rome and pray for an end to the coronavirus pandemic. The Pope visited 2 pilgrimage sites. Meanwhile, Italy is on lockdown, and religious communities around the world are considering options like online services to curb the spread of COVID-19. This morning, one college student in Las Vegas is making sure those impacted by coronavirus aren't left without the essentials. Jade Powell just launched a program called Shopping Angels. No delivery fees, no extra costs. Jade says she just wants to help people who can't leave their homes. She's already had nearly 3 dozen other students ready to help her out. And a Massachusetts woman celebrated her 100th birthday over the weekend, but precautions being taken against the coronavirus wouldn't allow Millie Erickson's family inside her nursing home to celebrate. No need to worry. Erickson's family all gathered outside her window to sing to her. She says even though she didn't get to open gifts, her family outside her window was the only gift she needed. Well, in due time, I'm sure they will be able to get to celebrate sooner rather than later, we hope. All right, let's take a turn now and get a check at our forecast. Not the best way to start off the week, but it could be worse.
Yeah, you know, it's not going to be bright and sunny here throughout the day today, but it could be worse. We could be dealing with that snow again that we had on Saturday when we picked up 1.2 inches at the airport in Indianapolis. This morning, we are just dealing with mostly cloudy skies. Sunrise officially here at 7:54 this morning with temperatures that will be in the 40s here throughout the course of the morning hours, and then we really stay in the 40s for the most part throughout the day today, with a high about 48 expected in Indianapolis. While it's a dry start, there will be the potential for a few scattered showers making their way into the forecast this afternoon and this evening. We'll talk more about those coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. When it comes to business dealings, a handshake has long been a sign of respect and goodwill, but most workplaces are now urging employees to stop doing it. John Matarese looks into why change is not so easy, so you stay safe and so you don't waste your money.
For generations, Americans greeted each other with a firm handshake. But during these troubling times when many of us don't want to touch a doorknob, is it time to stop touching other people when you meet?
World leaders do it. Sports heroes do it. Handshakes are a part of our daily life. But coronavirus is starting to turn us into a no-touch society.
Fist bumps versus shaking hands or not touching at all.
If we touch, out comes the sanitizer.
I just have Purell in my purse.
Nick Veer runs an advertising and marketing agency.
Is it tough to get by not shaking hands?
We are human beings. We touch, we shake hands. That's a reinforcing thing.
But already some places are putting up signs banning handshakes, like here in the Utah State Capitol. Veer says it's tough breaking old habits.
I still can't completely shake giving a hug to someone I haven't seen in a while, who's been a friend for a long time.
But it's not just the hug and handshake habit we may have to break this spring.
Just think of all the things you touched in the course of a day. Somebody hands you that morning cup of coffee. Then maybe you stop by the mailbox. You touch that. Then, of course, you head to work where you touch the same handle everyone else does.
From door handles to elevator buttons to faucets, we're going to have to readjust routines for coronavirus.
With my hand, my sleeves, and grab the door handle, so, yeah.
So Veer and I practiced a quick fist bump and realized it's going to take a while to feel comfortable.
With coronavirus spreading, you're not going to insult people if you back away from a handshake. Tell them you're trying to keep both of them safe so you don't waste your money. Working for you, I'm John Matarese. Good morning, Indiana.
John, thanks. For more cost-saving tips and ideas, visit the money section of our website, theindychannel.com.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now on Good Morning Indiana on this Monday morning, here's a look at your 6:30 news feed. At least 19 people in Indiana have been diagnosed with COVID-19. That number will be updated by the state health department less than 4 hours from now, and it is expected to go up as more people get tested. There were 3 new cases in Marion County and 1 in Hamilton County added to the list on Sunday. Butler University is closing residential housing to students because of the COVID-19 outbreak until at least April 4th. IU also extending spring break at all of its campuses by 1 week. Then IU says it will teach all classes remotely for the rest of the spring semester. More news on the ongoing outbreak and response coming up in less than 2 minutes after weather. The Indianapolis Colts have made Anthony Costanzo the highest paid left tackle in the NFL. The 31-year-old lineman has agreed to a 2-year contract extension worth $33 million. Costanzo has started all 132 games since his start in the NFL. Last season, he helped the Colts to a top 10 finish in rushing offense for the first time since 2001. Here at 6:30 on your Monday morning, we want to thank you for joining us. Obviously, things look a bit different here. We, too, here at RTV6 are practicing social distancing, so Raphael and Lauren are going to be working remotely. Meanwhile, Todd and I are taking care of things. You have weather covered for us this morning.
Yeah, you know, it's not a great day for us today, but it's not a terrible day. And what I mean by that is we're not going to have a lot of sunshine like we did yesterday, but we're not going to be dealing with any snow. We will have some showers in our forecast, though, going forward. So as you get going, grabbing that extra cup of coffee here this morning to kick off our Monday. Temperatures are in the mid-30s here across the area with skies that'll be mostly cloudy. And these clouds are in place here throughout the morning hours, or they've been gathering at least throughout the overnight and into the morning. But there's a few breaks here and there. So it's not out of the question. A couple of you could see a little bit of sunshine throughout the morning hours. It would be filtered sunshine. It's not going to be that bright blue sky. And then here's the rain that will potentially impact us later on this afternoon. It'll be weakening or falling apart, though, as it approaches central Indiana. That's why we're expecting nothing more than just a few hit or miss showers off and on throughout the second half of our day. We'll be completely dry, though, at least through the noon hour, with temperatures climbing from the mid-30s. Eventually, Meredith, up to about 43 degrees by the noon hour.
Todd, thank you. We're taking a live look at I-465 at Ditch Road up on the north side. You can see not too many cars out there. This is the scene that we are going to expect to see here over the next few weeks as many people are working from home and schools remain closed. Before we get to the latest on the coronavirus outbreak, some breaking news just north of downtown Indianapolis. Metro Police say a man is dead after a shooting near 16th Street and North College Avenue. This is a live look from the scene. You can see officers have taped things off there. This is where they found a man with a gunshot wound just before 4 o'clock this morning. Police say that man later died at the hospital. Investigators have not released any information about a possible suspect. Also breaking this morning, Indycar officials releasing a statement about the month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the coronavirus concerns. The statement reads in part, "We are aware of the CDC's interim guidance suggesting the postponement of events involving more than 50 people over the next 8 weeks. Our priority is to do our part in protecting the public health while still conducting the 104th Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge as scheduled on May 24th. Indycar goes on to say they are coordinating with officials at the federal and local levels. Meanwhile, 10 EMTs in Johnson County are in quarantine as a safety precaution this morning. The fire chief telling RTV6 the EMTs were in contact with a patient that may have had COVID-19. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us live from Greenwood with what steps are being taken to protect those firefighters, their families, and the community. Kelsey.
Hey, good morning, Meredith. So Fire Chief Jeremy Pell tells us that he does not want the firefighters, their families, or the communities to be worried. But he says this is as a precaution that 10 EMTs are being quarantined, 8 of them here at the old White River Township Fire Headquarters. It comes after a call on Saturday for a patient with a respiratory problems who ultimately stopped breathing and did not survive. Tests are now being run to determine if that patient had the coronavirus. The fire department is taking recommendations from the CDC, which means 8 EMTs are in quarantine at the old fire station and 2 are in quarantine at home. Chief Pell says this isn't something the community should be worried about.
In fact, I would say the exact opposite. We have procedures in place. Our crews provided excellent patient care. They took the proper precautions. They got the administration involved, and we're keeping them safe and healthy away from their families so that we don't, contribute to the problem or contribute to the spread.
The 10 EMTs are off work for 48 hours. The fire chief hopes to get the test results back before then. If they do have to be quarantined for 14 days, this will impact the fire department. But Chief Pell says they are prepared to get their spots filled and still be able to protect the community. Now, this is an important time to remind you that if you do need to call 911 and you think you could have the coronavirus, it's important that you tell that to the dispatch. That way they can relay that information to first responders so they can protect themselves and better serve you and the community. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. Last night, Indiana State Police announced one of their employees has been diagnosed with COVID-19. That person is assigned to the State Police's laboratory division in Indianapolis. According to a release sent to our newsroom, the employee was admitted to a local hospital for medical issues and learned Sunday that they tested positive. A co-worker who was last known to work closely to the patient is now in self-quarantine at home. State Police have also been notifying additional employees. The release says that they are continuing to monitor the situation and follow virus mitigation practices for the health and safety of the employees and their families. Avoiding others is something that not everyone is able to do during this time. Public transportation remains a necessity for many people in our city. Our Alyssa Donovan is at the live desk this morning with how Indigo staff is working to keep riders and drivers safe. Alyssa.
Good morning, Meredith. Indigo staff are upping their sanitation efforts on buses, bus stops, and inside of their facilities in response to the rise in cases of COVID-19 across our state. Thousands of people are still depending on the public transportation services. So Indigo has implemented additional procedures to ensure passengers and workers are as safe as possible. Indigo has increased the frequency of cleaning and sterilization of their buses, bus stops, and the Carson Transportation Center. A representative tells me since they regularly work so closely with the public, there are best practices in place already, and the increased sterilizations is in addition to day-to-day cleaning that buses typically undergo. They do ask that passengers and drivers are also doing their part by washing their hands or using sanitizers before and after riding the buses. Indigo staff and executive leadership are closely monitoring the status of COVID-19 in central Indiana. They're having regular meetings about the topic and how to keep riders and workers safe during this time.
Alyssa, thank you. Many school districts across the state have already canceled classes. Others are on spring break this week. While kids are out of school, the Indiana Family and Social Services Administration has some additional recommendations. They say that children should observe social isolation and be at home and not in a large child care setting. Families that need help finding or paying for childcare during this time can contact Brighter Futures Indiana at 1-800-299-1627 to talk to a referral specialist. A reminder, beginning this morning at 7 o'clock, Franciscan Health is banning all visitors at its 3 medical campuses in Indy, Mooresville, and Carmel. Exceptions will be made, allowing 1 visitor in certain departments, among them emergency, labor and delivery, and pediatrics. A similar ban took effect at all IU Health campuses on Saturday. Another local organization working to stop the spread of the virus is Ascension St. Vincent. Yesterday, the hospital system announced new procedures it would be putting into place. Starting Tuesday, all elective non-urgent surgeries will be canceled. That includes things like hip replacements, cosmetic surgeries, and non-critical heart procedures. Beginning today, all operating room employees will be screened. Visitor restrictions will also be enhanced. You can find a list of the new policies on the RTV6 app. The number of coronavirus cases in the U.S. is well over 3,000 at least. Public life as we know it is virtually shutting down, but doctors say that's a good thing and it's necessary. Reporter David Daniel has a look at our new normal.
For a while, life is not going to be the way it used to be in the United States. We have to just accept that if we want to do what's best for the American public.
Empty shelves, canceled events, closed schools, and shuttered businesses.
They're closing?
Yes, next Tuesday.
Okay, the last thing I want to be when the end of the world comes is sober.
Everyday life is on hold in some parts of the country as health officials urge people to work from home, avoid air travel, and practice social distancing, simply staying away from crowded public spaces.
We are clearly going to have more infections. There's going to be more problems with regard to morbidity and mortality. The challenge we have right now is how do we blunt that?
Drive-through testing sites are popping up in parts of the country. In several cities and states, bans against large public gatherings are in effect.
People sometimes think that you're overreacting. I like it when people are thinking I'm overreacting because that means we're doing it just right.
While state and federal health agencies work around the clock to administer more tests and treat the growing number of patients, many Americans are just trying to stay positive as they adjust to the new normal.
Be careful, be safe, but don't be scared. Live your life. Don't be afraid.
I'm David Daniel reporting.
There are new developments every day with the coronavirus, so we've developed a special section of our website to make the latest information easy to find. You can visit theindychannel.com/coronavirus. Hoosier Cruise passengers finally home after weeks in quarantine. Next, a look at their long journey from the Grand Princess Cruise back to Indiana. And two brothers thought they were going to get rich quick off the coronavirus outbreak, but up next, we'll tell you why those profits are now being hauled away. It's 6:40. We'll be right back.
Budget stretches further at Mattress Firm.
There really is a plane here. I'm so excited.
An update this morning to a story we've been tracking for more than a week now. Passengers from the Grand Princess cruise ship that have been in quarantine in Georgia are finally home in Indiana. Last night we talked to Vicki Fisher, who is from Muncie, and another woman from Indianapolis who were quarantined at Dobbins Air Force Base in Georgia. They have been there since getting off the cruise ship in California last week, where more than 20 people tested positive for the virus. Many of the passengers from other states were getting released, but up until yesterday afternoon, Vicki and the others were still waiting. We reached out to the governor's office and they responded saying that federal partners were working to fly them back. Vicki posted that they made it home just after 9 last night. The Tennessee Attorney General's office is investigating two brothers who hoarded at least 18,000 bottles of hand sanitizer. Matt and Noah Colvin were hoping to profit on the COVID-19 demand. After the first death in the U.S., Matt Colvin went state to state buying out sanitizer at stores. The brothers then tried to sell it at higher prices on Amazon before Amazon pulled their listings. Now the Tennessee Attorney General has ordered them to stop selling it anywhere. The state will also seek refunds for customers who may have bought some of the sanitizer. Colvin now says the remaining sanitizer will be donated to a local church. It was a very different debate for very different times, but it also featured some of the same old sparks between the two remaining Democratic presidential candidates. Next, a look at the last face-off before a key set of elections tomorrow. Todd.
As we look ahead to this upcoming week, there will be numerous opportunities to pick up some rainfall across central Indiana. Today, it's a slight chance of just a few spotty showers. Better rain chances the middle to end of the week, but with the rain chances also comes much warmer temperatures. More on that coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 6:44. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.
Get better water. Contact Culligan.
Last night's Democratic debate was an unusual one because of coronavirus concerns. There was no audience. As ABC's Andrea Fuji tells us, both candidates made pledges about who their future vice presidents would be.
Devoid of applause, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders greeted one another with elbow bumps and podiums 6 feet apart in a largely empty room in Washington, D.C. amidst COVID-19 concerns. Both candidates agreed more must be done to combat this health crisis. Sanders criticizing President Trump.
He is undermining the doctors and the scientists who are trying to help the American people. It is unacceptable for him to be blabbering with unfactual information, which is confusing the general public.
The present system cannot handle the surge that is likely to come. So we should already be sitting down and planning where we're going to put these temporary hospitals.
Both men in their 70s were asked how they're protecting themselves during this pandemic.
I love doing rallies, and we bring many thousands of people out to our rallies. I enjoy it very much. We're not doing that right now. In fact, our entire staff is working from home.
Biden pointed out that unlike Sanders' recent heart attack, he is in good health.
Fortunately, I don't have any of the underlying conditions you talked about that I have to worry about.
The candidates sparred over Social Security.
Time and time again, talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. Is that true, or is that
no, it's not true.
That is not true?
That is not true.
And a surprise announcement. Joe Biden says his running mate will be female.
I commit that I will, in fact, pick a woman to be vice president.
Sanders says he's also moving in that direction.
In all likelihood, I will.
Andrea Fujii, ABC News, New York.
Here at 6:48, we want to get a check at our weather with meteorologist Todd Clausen. Todd, yesterday was a little windy, but the sunshine made up for it. Can we expect any of the same later today?
You know, you can expect about the same temperatures as yesterday in the mid to upper 40s, but unfortunately, you cannot expect that sunshine, and that's a big difference. 46 and sunny and about 46 to 48 with clouds. It feels a lot different, and to go along with the clouds today, we're looking at the potential here, at least, of a few spotty showers in the forecast, but there is a big warm-up that is going to head our way. Unfortunately, as that warm-up heads our way, so does more in the way of rain chances. Now, this morning, as you walk out the door, temperatures range from 32 in Peru to 40 in Bloomington right now, 33 in Richmond, and 38 is the current temperature in Greencastle. And as we work our way throughout the day today, hour by hour over the next 12 hours, we'll stay pretty steady this morning with sunrise not until just before 8 o'clock. And then once we get into the mid-morning hours, that's when the temperatures will start to climb. We'll get up to the mid-40s here for your afternoon highs with those mostly cloudy skies. But we'll also bring in the chance of seeing a few spotty showers in this forecast as well by this afternoon and this evening. So the clouds have increased across the area. There's a few breaks here over in the Muncie area. Those will fill in pretty quickly this morning. And as we expand out, here's where you find our storm system that will be impacting us later on this afternoon. The heavy rainfall, that is all going to stay down to our south. We instead are just going to see some spotty showers that'll start to make their way into our area this afternoon. By 2 o'clock, a few of these spotty showers on the western side of the state. As they advance to the east, though, watch what happens. They really start to fall apart. So we're only looking at some spotty showers. Some of you go through this entire day without even a drop of rainfall. And if you do see the rain, it's going to be very, very light. We're talking about a couple hundredths of an inch of rain. That's enough to wet the ground but not cause any puddles across the area. And then we'll maintain the chance of a few spotty showers into your Tuesday morning commute, but that should not impact the drive. And then tomorrow we'll start to clear things out just a little bit throughout the afternoon hours. Tomorrow we also get the temperatures back up into the 50s across most of the area, and that'll start our warming trend with temperatures eventually climbing into the 60s and potentially even the 70s. The problem is more in the way of rain heads our way. While tomorrow is dry, Wednesday has the potential to be fairly wet in the afternoon, but everything comes in waves. So there will be some dry hours mixed in as well. We're not looking at any all-day rains that'll be impacting us for the entire day. But Wednesday, we're up to 58 degrees. Thursday at 70. Friday, we're at 68. Friday, though, we target the cold front to come through. Once that cold front comes through, potentially a round of thunderstorms that we'll have to keep an eye on, followed by a quiet weekend, but a cooler weekend with high temperatures in the mid-40s. Meredith?
Todd, thank you. We're taking a live look at I-65 at 21st Street, just north of downtown. No crashes to report. As you can see, traffic a lot lighter than usual for this time of day on a Monday. That's what it's probably going to look like here for the next few weeks as many people work from home and schools remain closed. It's the hashtag bringing a lot of smiles during a tough time. Coming up on Good Morning America, Tony Award-winning actress Laura Benanti on how she's encouraging students whose high school musicals have been canceled to post what they've been working on to social media. It's 6:52. We'll be right back.
Days from 4:30 to 7.
The mass closing of schools to help prevent the spread of COVID-19 is creating a different health concern: how to feed the thousands of families who rely on school districts for meals. IPS and many other school corporations are still providing food during the closures, but they're having to get creative to avoid large crowds. That's why the IPS food service team is passing out free prepackaged meals in the parking lot at 7 schools and 2 apartment complexes. You can find a full list of those sites and times, as well as other locations across Central Indiana, by going to our website, theindychannel.com. You may have seen the inspiring video from Italy recently, the one where people locked in their homes due to the coronavirus outbreak started singing together out their windows. Stand-up comedian Patton Oswalt says he was inspired by those videos, so he decided to bring some hope and, of course, humor to his own neighborhood, or at least he tried to.
This COVID-19, I tell you, I don't know I didn't see COVID 1 through 18, so I don't really know what this is all about. But hey, great time to catch up on your streaming stuff. Oh, hey, how you doing there? How you doing today?
You suck.
All right.
Oh, that little heckler, by the way, Patton's daughter, Alice. Oh, that's pretty good. And we need a little laughter in times like these. Obviously, a lot of people very, very concerned out there, Todd, and we want to make sure that we continue to bring you the latest information, all the facts, everything that you need to know about COVID-19. But we also want to bring you something to smile about here and there.
Yeah, so. And a lot of people staying home may need to get out of the house, go for a walk, get out and about today. You'll just have to watch out for a few spotty rain showers later on this afternoon. If you do see them, they'll be very, very light. We're looking at a temperature today in the mid-40s. We do warm up the rest of the week. We're in the mid-60s by Wednesday, maybe 70 by Thursday. There will be some rain showers, though, around, but no all-day rain.
All right, Todd, thank you. We're back in 25 minutes and throughout Good Morning America with news, weather, and traffic updates. Have a great rest of your Monday.